Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together in what we call the boot camp. Idea is that you practice together on Saturday morning and then you practice on your own during the rest of the week. And for those of you who are new here, we alternate from week to week. And this week we're coming back to the breathing exercise. And if you are interested, you can study and look up what is called the 8 limbs of yoga. This is, in fact, a yogic practice originated thousands of years ago in China after the yogi came to visit and taught us meditation. Um, so this practice in the North Indian tradition would be called pranayama. It's the practice of breathing, particularly is the breathing of the stomach, but more precisely is the breathing of the diaphragm, using the diaphragm. And that's actually what we do when we were first born, because it was the only muscle that we had. We didn't have any other muscle. Otherwise, we would know how to walk and talk, walk and run. We didn't. And so this is almost like going back to the way we used to be when we were basically stress free. Okay, so there's a lot of interest in deep breathings, abdominal breathing, um, but typically they focus on the word breath, which in Chinese also means qi. It just means air. In fact, it's just activating the life energy. And so just because you want to breathe deep doesn't activate the diaphragm. Actually, it's the opposite. The more stressed you are, the stiffer the diaphragm gets. So it's actually not such a trivial exercise to learn how to breathe with the diaphragm and then ultimately activate your life energy. So we're going to start with some exercise, and particularly the exercise of the joints, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and then also on the lower body, which would be the counterpart, which would be the heel, the knee, and the hip, right? Okay, so now we want to come back to the body first, and there's one exercise that you need to do as you age, which is to stretch your spine. And I talk about this many times in the past, how the dogs and the cats does that every day, is to stretch the spine. The reason why it's important to stretch your spine is that, first of all, the spine is where life happens. This is where you manufacture marrow. Marrow becomes your source of energy as well as your source of immunity. But as we age, our spine get oxidized, and so you actually have less marrow than you used to have, which explains why we're always a little bit weaker and a little bit more prone to disease. And so we need to reverse that, and we reverse that by stretching the spine. The bones, is particularly the spine, is what we call piezoelectric, meaning that when you stretch it, it actually generates electricity, and that process would reverse the oxidation. So we want to learn how to stretch a spine. And so the one way to do that is to first focus on the very bottom of a spine. And then from the bottom of the spine, we walk up the spine towards the top of the head, but we don't do it quickly. We do it slowly. We do it slowly as if we're stretching one joint at a time. We keep stretching the spine as if we're hanging the spine on the ceiling. You keep doing it until it feels like it's almost hurting, but you're not going to hurt yourself because you're doing it to yourself. So you keep stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching, and then you lean back and then you relax. Okay, that's the first half. The second half is actually loosening up the shoulder, because as we get old, we are moving away from the diaphragm because it gets stiffer and stiffer, and we tend to use the upper part of our body, which creates a lot of stress. So another way to do that is to combine the two, which is you start with the bottom, at the bottom of the spine, you stretch, you stretch, you stretch, you keep moving towards the top of the head, you keep stretching, and then you lift up your shoulder as if you're bringing your shoulder to your ears, your entire upper torso towards the ceiling. Then you open the shoulder. As you open the shoulder, you lean back, and it's like you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then you drop your shoulder. You keep relaxing your shoulder. You relax the upper spine, upper body. One of the things happens when you do that is that you're relying less on your back muscle to support your upper torso. Instead, you're putting the weight of your upper torso on top of each other on the spine. Okay. Now, when you do that, this is actually a very good way to relax, particularly when you have a stressful episode, whether it's work related or family related. You just sit in the corner. Don't lean to the back of the chair. Just sit in the corner and stretch. Lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back, and then relax. All right. There's one more thing you can do, which is lean back your forehead so the ears on top of the shoulder, and then tuck in the chin. That way, you're doing exactly the same thing with your neck muscle. You're putting the weight of your head on top of your spine. Okay. All right. So now, once we do that all the time. All right. Then we're ready to do some joint exercise. And again, this is not just exercise of the body, but it's also exercise of the mind. What we want to do is to synchronize the body and the mind together. That is actually the true meaning of the word yoga, which in North Indian is called yoga. Now, we focus on the center of a palm, all right, as if we're looking at the center of your palm. You can close your eye just like I do, but then you can still, through the eye, you can actually still see, focus on the center of your palm, right? Now you bring your palm up, your hand up, all the way up without losing focus. Now you focus on your wrist and you turn your wrist one turn at a time, one turn at a time, very slowly. Now the trick here is to understand that everything is a cycle. Life is a cycle. Everything is a cycle. Every cycle has a beginning and an end. The end is actually the beginning of another cycle. Once you understand that, then what you do is that at the beginning of the cycle, you check your mind. You say, where is my mind? Oh, my mind is somewhere else, which is fine. That's very normal. Let me bring it back to my wrist. Once you bring it back to your wrist, you make a determination, which is, once I get here, I'm going to follow through and I'm going to go from the beginning to the end. After you complete one cycle, you said to yourself, okay, I got one done. Let me do another one, just another one. And that's called diligence. You are actually practicing what the Buddhists call paramita or parami. The first one is called determination. And then when you get to the end, it's called the diligence. And you keep doing that. It's a practice. And during the cycle, you focus on the wrist. You start to examine the change in your wrist. Now we're going to go the other way. So again, there's a beginning and then there is an end. And the end is a rebirth. You're going from the end back to the beginning. Every beginning, you exercise your determination. Every end of the cycle, you exercise your diligence. One turn at a time, one turn at a time. Now we're going to bring the hands down. You bring it down the same way you brought it up, which is mind, body together. And then now you come back to the posture. You stretch your spine towards the ceiling. You lift up your shoulder. You open your shoulder. You lean back, and then you relax. We're going from the wrist to the elbow. So back to the center of the palm again. We bring it up, mind, body together. And now we focus on the elbow, one turn at a time. Practice your determination at the beginning, practice your diligence at the end. And in the middle, you focus only on the elbow and you examine the change in the elbow. Is there any heat, any sweat, any numbness, perhaps even any pain? And so part of what we do here is really to understand your body, understand your breath, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. And now we're going to go the other way. So back to the wrist, back to the elbow, one turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Now we're going to bring the hands down slowly, back to this posture, stretch, lift up your shoulder, lean back, and then relax. We're going from the wrist to the elbow and now to the shoulder. Back to the center of the palm, We're going to bring up the hands again, but this time we cross our hand. We bring it in front of us. We bring it all the way to the top. We stretch the fingers pointing to the ceiling. We stretch as hard as we can. And then before we come down, we focus on the center of the palm. We turn the palm outward and we open the shoulder. We feel the pain on the shoulder. We let go of the pain. We come back to the center of the palm again. Keep focusing on the center of the palm. What happened on your shoulder is already gone. Don't let that pain metastasize into suffering. Or turn it outward. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of the palm. Bring it up in front of you. Bring it on top. Point the fingers upward. Stretch as hard as you can. Point the palm outward. Turn the wrist. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Raise up the hands. Stretch again. Open. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Now we're going to turn the other way. Follow the center of the palm. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Open. Stretch. Keep your mind on the center of your palm. Okay, mind, body together. Stretch. And then bring it back down. One more time. Open the shoulder. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Back to the posture. Now we're going to go from front to back. Stretch your spine as hard as you can. Lift up your shoulder and then open your shoulder. Lean back, feel the lightness in your body, and then drop your shoulder. Relax the shoulder, relax your body. Focus on the center of your palm again. Bring it up in front of you, on top of you. And then now open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of your palm. Let that pain go. Let that sucker go. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Turn it up. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. Come back to the center of the palm. All the way out. Feel the pain. One more time. Back to the center of the palm. On top of you. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of the palm. Now we're going to go from back to front. All the way back. Bring it up. Stretch. Down. All the way to the back. Bring it up. Stretch. And then bring it back down. All the way to the back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. One more time. All the way to the back. And then stretch. And then follow the center of your palm. You bring it down. And now we were in a dynamic mode. Now we're coming back to static mode. Typically, people think of meditation only in terms of sitting, right? But humans are capable of sitting, standing, lying down, and walking. So we'll have all four postures. I believe we are the only species in the animal kingdom that are capable of all four. And so it's important that we learn to meditate. And by meditate, I meant by at least by anchoring your mind, right? Anchoring your mind either on your body or on your breath. And it's a very simple thing to do. When you're moving, whether you're exercising or you're walking, you anchor your mind on your body. And when you're not moving, whether you're sitting, standing, or lying down, you're anchored on your breath. Okay? It's just very simple. And so now we're going to learn how to anchor our mind on the breath. So back to the spine again. Stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, and then relax. And now we're going to come back to the breath. First, by just observing your breathing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Okay. And so we actually spent the last 15 minutes. That was a 15 minutes worth of meditation. It's just that we were meditating while we were moving. And it's important to meditate initially, learning meditation initially by just knowing the difference between multitasking and what I call unitasking. And modern day people, we love multitasking, right? Multitasking was a term that we started to use probably in the mid 70s when we have personal computers, I think, or at least it was populated by that time. Back before that, no one know anything about computer anyway. And we think that we're capable of doing so many things at the same time, but multitasking is actually the source of all your anxiety. It's multitasking is source of anxiety, and then expectation is the other one, right? We put so much expectation on ourselves now. How we want to look, how we want to feel. How come I'm not happy? How come I'm this? How come I'm that? Right? And so much expectation are imposed on us. Our whole economy is based on expectation. How you're supposed to look, right? Here's the solution. Go buy this, put it on yourself. You'll make it look better, or you can actually do surgery, change yourself. It's all about expectation, right? Now, I'm not saying expectation is not a good thing, right? I expect a lot from myself, a lot, right? But on the other hand, I know the difference between expectation and and your capability. If it's something beyond my capability, there's no point expecting it. Then I have to learn to accept it. And it's just that. It's just that simple. First, you have to learn to unitask. Focus your mind on whatever it is that you're doing right now. If I'm exercising, I'm walking, I focus on the center of my palm, or I focus on the bottom of my feet, or I focus on the rest of my body somewhere, right? I woke up this morning, I think I woke up at 6. I set my alarm clock 10 minutes before that to kind of let my body adjust. And then, so basically, it's almost 2 hours now since I woke up. I haven't stopped meditating, right? The minute that I woke up, I feel my body. And then when I get ready to get down, I feel the bottom of my feet. I feel my slippers. I walk, and then I start to make breakfast. And then I feel my way through the breakfast, right? Everything is like that. Just focus on what you do, all right? Okay, so we're going to do 3 more exercise, and we're going to continue to practice mindfulness and interpreting mindfulness just anchoring. But more than that, it's anchoring at the same time knowing how you feel, the sensation. It's not really how you feel, it's the sensation in your body, and not let that sensation degenerate into something else. All right. Okay, so we're going to do one more exercise. The next 3 exercises actually derive from the Shaolin Temple basic training. Right. And then the first one actually need to use 2 hands, right? It comes from this martial art called the double blade. I don't know if you've ever seen the Chinese opera where the guy roll out in the beginning. There's a guy that comes out, roll on the floor, flip and do a somersault, and then he takes out a blade, and then all of a sudden the blade becomes 2. That is actually very difficult because he has to use the left brain and the right brain separately, right? This is how they fight with 2 blades. This is the same idea. Learning how to use the left brain and the right brain and be able to switch the 2, that helps you into letting go, letting go. One side of the brain is emotional, the other side is rational. Sometimes pain is emotional, sometimes pain is rational. You learn to let it go by flipping, right? By flipping. Right? I remember giving that example. If you break up with someone, it's emotional pain. Then you just have to say, well, I save a lot of money not going out. Right? Something like that. It's a crazy world. Okay, so let's try it. Stretch your spine, lift up a shoulder, lean back, and relax. Put the left hand in front and stretch out the right hand. So this is like the double blade. But we're going to focus on the right hand, meaning that we're using the left brain. We're going to make a nice big circle following the center of a palm. And then we're going to open that shoulder, feel the pain on your shoulder. We're going to accept that pain. And then we're going to let go of the pain by flipping, going to the left hand, focus using our right brain now. And we're going to sweep around, focusing on the center palm. Open the shoulder, feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain, come back, sit up straight. Right hand, feel the pain on your shoulder. accept that pain, then let go of the pain. Focusing on the left side now. And then now going around, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Sit up straight, right hand, feel the pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain, sit up straight, and then now left hand, feel the pain, accept the pain, and then let go of the pain. We're going to do two more times. Right hand, feel the pain on your shoulder, let go of the pain, all the way to the left. One last time. Feel the pain on your shoulder, accept that pain, and then let go of the pain. Back to the breathing, one breath at a time. Adjust your posture, stretch your spine, lift up your shoulder, lean back, and then relax, and then back to your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. And you notice that once you pay attention to your breath, the breath actually slows down. Now, the breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. And when the breath slows down, that means your mind also slows down. And you're going from the fight or flight to the rest and digest. How do you know? Well, because my mouth is wet. I'm turning back on the saliva gland. The saliva gland, the saliva is what the Chinese call gelator, right? The saliva, it actually turns on your digestion and your immunity and your reproduction. It's very important. Okay. All right. Now the second exercise following the same training is, of course, throwing the shoulder, right? So you actually have to action equal to reaction. So when you throw it, energy goes out, and then when it reaches the end, energy comes back. You feel the vibration. All right. So back to the shoulder. Open your shoulder, lean back. We bring up our right hand. We make a fist. We follow the fist. Go up. Okay. Throw your shoulder. Okay. Up, come back, sit up straight, down, down, sit up straight, up, up, down, down. One more time, up, up, down, down. Now we're going to open the shoulder, following both hands at the same time. Go one, come back, two, come back, three, come back, four, come back, and five. Come back to our breath. And now you notice that as soon as you do any kind of energetic exercise, which the Chinese call yang, right? As if you are under the sun. Under the sun means that you're outside the cave, means that you're in danger, potential danger. And so your body reacts and it creates stress hormone, cortisol, which is a natural form of steroid. And so it's important to exercise so you create this steroid in you, which is anti-inflammatory, inflation. I mean, not really. It reduces inflammation in your body. However, you need to create that balance between yang and yin. Yin is the absence of the sun. That's when you came back to the cave. So after you do an energetic exercise, you come back, you pay attention to your breath, you slow down and let it cultivate the sensitivity to the stress hormone. And you do that by focusing on your breath, one breath at a time. And you say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay. All right. Now we're going to get ready to do some sitting meditation. And so we're going to relax some more. And we do that by activating our vagus nerve, which is a big part of the parasympathetic nerve, the part that puts us into rest and digest. It actually starts at the bottom of your ear. It goes around, back, and then it connects with your your diaphragm. Okay, so the next shoulder put you in that relaxed mode. So if you want to learn to do abdominal breathing, if you want to learn to breathe with your diaphragm, which has a lot of medical medicinal benefit, you need to learn to relax first. And we do this by the next exercise where we sit back, we come back, we stretch, and then we lean back, we open the shoulder, and we relax. Then we take a thumb, we put that in front of a shoulder, we roll up the four fingers. And this exercise comes in four parts. And the trick is to follow the elbow. So you lift up your elbow, you lift up your shoulder, you lift up your entire upper torso as if you're bringing your ears to your shoulder. Then you point your elbow back, you open your shoulder all the way back as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then you drop your elbow, your entire body relax. And finally, you point your elbow forward, you're looking straight down. And then you lift up your elbow, you're looking straight ahead, all the way up. Then you open your shoulder, you look up slightly until you squeeze the back. Then you drop your elbow, you relax until you get to the very end, looking straight down, point the elbow forward. Now it's best that you close your eye. And as you lift up, you breathe in, and then you breathe out all the way out until you point your elbow forward. Then you breathe in again. No expectation, no expectation, no multitasking. All on your body, all on your breath. Breathe in. I don't even know you exist. I'm not looking at you. I'm really focusing on my body and my breath. And I'm totally relaxed. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Stretch. Open. Breathe out. I'm going to do it two more times, okay? Breathe in. Oh, relax. And then breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And then breathe out. And then drop your hand, focusing on your breath. One breath at a time. Okay, now we're ready to do some sitting meditation. Now, the posture is very important for the sitting meditation because you really want to reduce your reliance on your muscle. So, we talk about the four postures: the sitting posture, the standing posture, the lying down posture, and the walking posture. We also talk about the four elements. The four elements are the earth, the water, um, the fire, and the wind. And we actually associate one element, each element, to the posture. When we sit, we call this the earth element, which means we don't want to generate any fire. We don't want to use any muscle. When we stand, it's the opposite. It's called the fire element. So we actually stand and we activate the muscle, especially the calf. When we lie down, we call that the water element. We're totally relaxed and we're rejuvenating ourselves. And when we walk, we'll call that the wind element. But also, we associate with four different um, images. We say we sit like the bell. Imagine that this is like a Liberty Bell, and the spine is the clapper in the center of the bell. When we stand like the pine tree, meaning that you have to keep your body flexible like the tree. Otherwise, the wind blows and the tree would crack. We sleep like the bow and arrow. So it looks like you're not doing anything, but you're actually full of energy. And you walk like the wind, right? So it's important that we try not to use any muscle, starting with the legs. If you sit on the chair, make sure that the bottom of your feet is right below, is touching the ground, the floor, but also right below your knee, which means that the chair is not too high, you're not dangling your feet, and it's not too low where you have to kind of put pressure on your legs. The second one are the hands. So we don't we don't do any hand gesture. We just rest it on our body. You can rest it on your knee, your thigh, your calf, anywhere. And then the third one is your spine. Our old friend, your spine. So you stretch your spine, just like I've been saying. You stretch it as hard as you can, as if you're hanging your spine on the ceiling. Your spine is the clapper in the center of the bell. Then you lean back and then you relax. Then the shoulder, you lift up your shoulder, you open your shoulder, and then you relax. Then it's the forehead. You lean back the forehead, ears on top of the shoulder, and then you tuck in your chin slightly so the top of the head is on top of your spine. And then finally, you get to the eyelid and the tongue. You relax your forehead, you relax in between your eyebrow, and you relax your eyelid. You close your eyelid, but you don't shut it tight. You just close it as if you're lowering the drapes on the window. And then you take the tip of the tongue, you put it behind your teeth, right where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. Now, this will turn on your salivary gland, meaning that this whole posture puts you in the rest and digest. But also, it naturally let your saliva flow into your stomach and not into your lungs, so you don't choke on your saliva. Very important. Okay, so now that you get all that, we're going to do that in steps. The first step is what we call intentional breathing, which means that first you focus on your breath and you start with saying, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And when you breathe in, your body changes. And when you breathe out, your body changes. Now you go from knowing to anchoring. You anchor your mind on the belly button. And when you know that you're breathing in, you relax your stomach. And, and then you try as if you're bringing your belly button forward. And when you know that you're breathing out, you tuck in your stomach as if you're bringing the belly button back. Now, it's very important that when you do this, you're completely focused but completely relaxed at the same time. How can you be both at the same time? Well, remember what I said. First is unitask, no multitask. You're now meditating, which means you don't think about things that already happened. You can't change anything that has already happened. You can only learn from it. And you have to accept it by saying that whatever it is that I did it with the best that I have. And that's enough. Let it go. You can't think about the past right now. You can't think about the future yet because you're going to have more data. When you get to the future, you're going to have more data. You can make a better decision. No point in making a decision now. So why not just focus on the present? Why not just get away from this so-called multitasking and just be unitask, one thing at a time, focusing on the breath. And whenever a random thought comes into your mind, let it go. Say thank you, but I'm going to be doing this right now. One breath at a time. Okay? When you breathe in, move the belly button forward. When you breathe out, bring the belly button back. We're going to do that for 5 minutes, okay? All right, now this is a struggle. This is a struggle because every time the mind's going to drift away. We call that the monkey mind. But that's what you have to do. Now, remember what I said about every breath is a cycle. Just like when you were turning your wrist and your elbow, you have to recognize that there is a beginning and an end. Breathing in is the beginning, breathing out is the end. At the beginning, you exercise your determination. At the end, you exercise your uh, diligence. Okay? As soon as you know that you're breathing in, you said to yourself, I got you now. I'm going to follow you through from the beginning to the end. And when you get to the end, you says, oh, that was a good one. Let me do it again. That's called diligence, but only one breath at a time. One breath at a time. Okay, we're going to continue. Now, the next step, we're going to combine the breathing exercise with the posture. So first you're going to let go of the belly button and just feel your breath again. I know I'm breathing in. Feel your body. See if you can sense how the stomach opens on its own when you breathe in. And then sense how your stomach collapses as you breathe out. It's very slight, probably something you never noticed before. And maybe not even noticing now, but that's okay. We're going to continue to work on this. But in any case, you feel your breath, and now you anchor your mind on the lower part of your spine. As you breathe in, you move up the spine, you stretch the spine upward towards the ceiling until you get to the top of your head. And then when you breathe out, you come from the top of the head to your forehead, through your nose, through your tongue, and you move towards the belly button. But as you do that, I want you to lean back and relax. So in fact, you're maintaining this posture, the correctness of this posture, meaning that you're stretching the spine and you're leaning back and relax with the breath. When you breathe in, you stretch your spine, you go from the bottom of your spine to the top of the head. And then when you breathe out, you come back to the belly button and you lean back and you relax. When you find that your mind is somewhere else, you invite your mind back very gently. And you also recognize that this is a cycle. This is a cycle of life. There's a beginning and then there is an end. The beginning is when you exercise your determination and you say, I'm going to follow through one breath at a time, all the way to the top of the head and all the way down. And when you get to the end of the cycle, you exercise your diligence and you say, I'm going to do one more breath. That's all. Okay, we're going to sit for 5 minutes and then we're going to do some more exercise. Then we're going to go to the floor and practice our uh, pranayama. Okay. Okay, open your eyes. So that was just forming a baseline, basically. We're going to do more of that after we do the breathing exercise. The breathing exercise actually allows you to activate the diaphragm, and then you can feel that the breathing a little bit more intensely, okay? Now, a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, I sent out a on our on our circle, join our circle called Mindfulness Fellowship, but also on my other social channel, uh, Patreon, YouTube, Facebook, and so forth. I posted a video of a yogi who talks about the similarity and the differences between the yogic practice and the Zen practice, the Zen practice, the Zen Buddhist Zen practice, and he explains the how the word Zen actually comes from the Chinese word Chan, and Chan is abbreviation of an older word called Chana, which is our way of pronouncing the original North Indian word called jhana or John. And so when if you're interested in studying the 8 limbs of yoga, you will notice that jhana or Zen is actually one of that, and just means how to um, what I would call sentimentation. And we're going to practice a little bit of that if we have time. We should have time today. How to take your fear and your anxiety and just let it settle, much the way that we do that with our bodily discomfort, the pain of the shoulder. Here we're going to do that with fear. Okay. All right. Fear of falling, basically. Now, in addition to the breathing exercise, the jhana, there's other limbs of of yogic practice. And one of that, of course, is the asana. And now keep in mind that what we practice in the West is a version of the asana. It's actually called hatha yoga. And it's actually relatively young, about 900 years old practice. And in that practice, they believe in inversion. They actually, you notice that they do a lot of inversion, pointing the head towards down, because they have the belief that the essence of your body ultimately comes from the brain, comes from the spine, and you want to make sure that you preserve that by doing a lot of inversion. Okay, we don't do so much of that here, except one thing we do in the exercise that we did last week, where we point the head down. But other than that, we hardly do any inversion. But that doesn't mean that we don't practice yoga. That doesn't mean that we don't practice asana. It's a different way. So here we're going to practice some stretching exercise, which is that branch of yogic practice. And we're going to do 3 deep breaths, and then afterwards we're going to stretch mostly the the part that is facing the sun, the upper part of the arm, the outside, the back, particularly the spine, okay? Doing some stretching. All right, so let's sit up straight, stretch your spine upward, lift up our shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back. We're gonna do 3 deep breaths. We're gonna take our hands, lock it together, put that in front of the belly button, and we're gonna lift up the center of the palm. We're gonna breathe in using our nose. Now we're going to turn around, we're going to follow the center palm and breathe out. And we're going to stretch, push, okay? And then we're going to point the palm outward as if we're climbing a mountain, stretching the upper part of our outer part, the outside. And then we're going to come back, lock our fingers again. We're going to breathe in. And then we're going to breathe out. Follow the center of the palm. We're going to push until we lock the elbow. Now we're going to look straight ahead, unlock the fingers, and as if we're climbing the mountain, stretching the back of our hand. Come back one more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead. Climb the mountain. We're going to lock our fingers again. Palm facing up. We're going to flip. Palm facing down. We're going to stretch until we lock an elbow. We're going to look straight ahead. Bring up a hand. Palm facing forward. Palm facing the sky. And then we're going to push as hard as we can. Then we're going to lean back. Come back to the middle. And we're going to push as hard as we can. And this time we're stretching the spine. Okay. We're stretching the spine to the left. We're going to come back. And we're going to push And we're stretching the spine to the right. And we're going to come back. And we're going to push as hard as we can, stretching the spine to the left, come back to the middle, and then push again, stretching the spine to the right. And then we come back. We're going to follow the center of the palm, bring it back down. And then we're going to lift up a shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. We're going to take the left arm, palm facing up. We're going to take the right hand, put that between the fingers and the palm. We're going to sit up straight. And then we're going to bring the hand down. We're going to push the elbow, lock the elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up a hand using the elbow, lock the elbow, all the way up. All right. Now, we don't turn the upper torso. We're just going to bring our left arm to the right. And then we're going to bring it back, locking the elbow. Then we're going to relax. Now we do that with the same thing, do the same thing with the right arm, palm facing up, left hand, and then the fingers in the palm together, bring it down, push the elbow, looking straight ahead, bring up the elbow, bring up the hand, locking the elbow. Without turning the body, we're going to bring the right arm to the left, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to relax. We're going to focus on the breath, returning the mind to the rest and digest by focusing on the breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now we're going to open the shoulder again, lean back and then relax. We're going to take the right arm this time, palm facing up, wrist at 90 degrees. We're going to take the left arm, palm facing down, wrist at 90 degrees. We're going to open the shoulder and we're going to push the right arm as if we're pushing the sky up all the way up until we lock the elbow. Now we're going to push the left palm down all the way down until we lock the elbow. Now we're going to bring the right arm back, and then we're going to turn our head to the left until we get to the shoulder. But then we keep turning our eyeballs as if we're looking at the back. Then we're going to bring everything back, and then we're going to relax. We're going to turn to the other side. Palm facing up, wrist at 90 degrees, palm facing down, lift our wrist at 90 degrees. Push, lock the elbow, right hand now. Push and lock the elbow. Bring the left arm back, turn your head to the shoulder. Keep turning your eyes as if you're looking at the back. Bring everything back and then relax. Okay. Now this actually energizes what we call the triple warmer. It actually goes from your, I believe we start with the ring finger, and it goes all the way up. It enters in the body, it comes back from the bottom of the ear, it goes around to the corner of the eye. So that entire exercise, including the turn of the eye, is for that. Okay. Okay. Now we come back to the spine. We're going to stretch the spine. The Chinese call that the dragon's back. Okay. All right. So stretch the spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax, looking straight ahead. Then we're going to take our hands. We're going to lock our fingers, put that at the lower back, palm facing up. Now turn it, palm facing down, push until you lock your elbow. Now we're going to focus on top of the head and the center of the palm at the same time. We're going to lift up the head and push down the arm, one up, one down, stretch as hard as you can, and then relax. Now we're going to lean back the forehead as if you're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees, but we're going to focus on the center of the palm and we're going to bring it up as hard as you can. And we're going to come back to the breath, returning the body to the rest and digest, maintaining the harmony between the yin and the yang. Okay. Okay. Back to the spine. Open the shoulder. Lean back. Relax. We're going to take the right arm. We're going to put that on the back. We're going to look straight ahead. And then we're going to lift the right shoulder. Stretch the right shoulder as hard as you can. Relax. Do that with the other hand. Looking straight ahead. Stretch the left shoulder as hard as you can. And then relax. Back to the breath. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out, right? So whenever you do an energetic exercise, you can tell now that your heart is actually racing because you were in stress and you were in fight or flight. And so you need to come back and restore that balance. And you do that by focusing on your breath. Okay, the breath is the bridge. So focus on your breath, and all of a sudden you realize that you're breathing slower and your heart is returning to normal. Very important. Now, stretch your spine, open the shoulder, relax, and we're going to take the right hand, the back of the hand at the lower part of your spine. You take two fingers, you point that to the left shoulder. You're going to bring your right shoulder down and your fingers up and relax. The other hand, sit up straight, point the fingers to the right shoulder. You're going to bring the left shoulder down and your fingers up. And then you're going to take two hands, if you can, touching the fingers, but then you're going to look straight ahead. Now, two shoulders, right shoulder up, left shoulder down, one up, one down, and then relax. You're going to do it with the other hand, touching your fingers if you can. You're going to do the left shoulder up and the right shoulder down, and then relax. Back to the breath. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. You have to whisper to yourself, okay? Because when you're under a lot of stress, you need to whisper to yourself and you whisper to your breath. He says, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And then all of a sudden, you stay calm. All right, one last exercise called the reverse Buddha. Open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Take the palm, take the hand, palms touching, fingers touching. Put that on the lower back, finger pointing down. We're going to turn it so that fingers are pointing up. Sit up straight. We're going to bring up the hands all the way up and try the best you can to keep the palms together. Now we're going to open that shoulder at the same time. We're going to push the palm forward, one back, one forward, and then back to the breath. Always maintain that harmony. Okay, all right. So we're ready to do some floor exercise. And we start by doing joint exercise on the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. Now we're going to exercise the counterpart, which will be the knee, the heel, the knee, and the hip. We're going to start with the knee first. So put your hands on the knee, bend your knee slightly, and then turn 1, 2, stay focused, 3, 4, and then 5. We're going to turn the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Everything that we do is mindful, right? So exercise is a mindful exercise. Eating is a mindful eating. Sleeping is a mindful sleeping, right? Never stop. Okay. So this is called the everyday Zen. Huh? Every minute, every day. All right. So now we're moving from the the knee to the hip. So right foot first. Lift up the heel. We're going to turn the heel, 1 turn, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to turn the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we do the left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now we're going to do. We're going to stand on the toes. Now, as it turns out, standing on your toes actually activate your kidney energy, and your kidney energy ultimately goes to your kidney. So we believe that people who have lower back problem comes from a kidney energy deficiency. And so this standing exercise is actually very good for that. Not only that, we ultimately associate the kidney energy with the ear. So if you have ringing or if you have lightheadedness, that also helps. So we're going to stand, right? And we're going to look straight ahead, okay? Now, a lot of time people fall, and fall start with anxiety. And the way that you reduce that is by focusing forward, right? Basically anchoring your eye now towards the camera. And we're going to stand on the toes, lift up ahead, hold it, and then we're going to come back and impact the heel a little bit, right? And The reason is that the heel is the energy line that we name after the bladder. It's the yang side of the kidney. All right. So stand and then down. Now make sure you do that on the carpet. Stand and then down. Okay. Now the next exercise is really good for the brain. And my father, I mentioned this numerous times, my father died from dementia. And as I look back, it was a loss of balance. Okay. It's a loss of balance. It's not capable of maintaining that balance between the left brain and the right brain. And also, a lot of time as we get old, um, we fall, unfortunately, and fall when we walk on the stairs or fall when we walk. But then walking actually requires balance, right? You actually lift up one foot at a time, balance, especially walking the stairs. So maintaining that balance is very important. The Chinese believe that if you could stand on one foot, that actually is very important for your neurological health. So we stand on the left foot, we're looking straight ahead, and then we're going to kick the right foot, focusing on the heel. Okay, get ready. Focus first. Okay, focus first. Okay, and then 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, now we're going to balance on the right foot, a very important practice to maintain your neurological health. And then we're going to kick the left foot. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right. The next exercise comes to the hip. The hip is like the shoulder. As we age, we lose the flexibility on the hip. So when we fall, we don't have a way of restoring a balance, because when you fall, the only thing that can help you is the hip. So it's very important to loosen up the hip, right? I see many people, many old people fall. And once they fall, they deteriorate very fast. Okay, now we're going to stand on the right foot, putting our hands together. We're going to come back to the left foot with lifting up the toes, right? Now we're going to form a straight line between the heel, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder. And we're going to turn on that straight line until we get to the end. And we keep turning. We keep turning. And then we're going to move forward and relax. Second time, keep turning, keep turning. Don't be afraid. You're not going to break anything. And then relax. One last time. Keep turning and then relax. All right. Now we're going to do that with the staying on the left foot. We're going to bring that on the right foot, form that straight line, turn along that straight line, keep turning until you get to the end, and you keep turning some more. And then relax, turn, and then relax, and back, and turn, and relax. Okay. So we do all the joints now, right? So we're ready to do the breathing exercise. Now, the breathing exercise is not about this exercise of the body. So even though you see a lot of movement, it's not actually about the body. It's about creating a posture, creating an opportunity for you to use the diaphragm. And that becomes very clear. For example, when you breathe in, you open, right? So you already open your chest, and you still want to breathe in. There's no room for the lung to move except to lower the diaphragm, right? That's the key exercise. It's actually not to treat it as the exercise of the body, but exercise the diaphragm. And all you're doing is creating a scenario. And the other thing is important is that you treat it as a meditation, so you have to anchor your mind on your body, anchor your mind on the center of the palm, bring it up, bring it towards you, bring it down, and then stand up, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now 1 and 2, you breathe in very gently. 3, you breathe out. 4, you relax. Breathe in. This is just to get your mind and your body together, and your mind, your body, and your breath all together now. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. And then out. Okay, now we're ready. Now breathe in. Cross your hand, put it in high enough so you can actually see the center of your palm with the corner of your eye, and you breathe out. You don't stop in the middle. And then you breathe in gently, and then you breathe out. Okay, get ready. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and then breathe out. Okay, now we're going to do 1 minute of standing meditation. And when you stand, remember what I said? You stand um, focusing on the fire element, which means that you're using muscle. Okay, so if you can, don't lock your knee. You actually want to use your calf, and the calf is very important. That's the second heart. Okay, and there's a study that says that people have dementia, the calf deteriorate, and I know that. I know that as a fact. So you want to really exercise your calf by loosening up your knee if you can. If you cannot, then lock your knee and you can stand. That's okay too. But if you can, loosening up your knee, you create that fire element in you. And then now you focus entirely on your breath, one breath at a time, right? Breathing in, you exercise your determination, you follow through until you get to the end. And you congratulate yourself, and then you exercise your diligence. One more breath, one breath at a time. Okay, now we do the second form, which is called the balloon breathing. And you put your left foot forward, you lean back so that the toes on the right foot is pointing up and you're looking at the ceiling. And then you bring up your hand, you bring it high enough you can see it with the corner of your eye, and you roll your body forward. Try not to bend your back. And now you're looking down, your heel is up on the left foot, and you're looking 45 degrees down. And then you open up again, following the center of your palm. As you roll forward, you breathe in, close your mouth, and then now get ready. You breathe out, you don't stop, all the way out. And then you just let your body breathe in gently. You don't try to suck air in, right? You don't want to get into hyperventilation. So you just breathe out and then relax, let the air comes in by itself. Because when you breathe out like that, you're stretching your diaphragm, pushing the diaphragm down. And then when you relax, it automatically returns, and then you breathe in, breathe out. I said it the other way. I meant the diaphragm pushing up when you breathe out. Okay, sorry about that. Breathe in, breathe out very gently. You stay focused and relaxed at the same time. And the key is you unitask, and you don't have an expectation of yourself. Just do it. Follow the body, follow the breath. Okay, one more time. Breathe in and then breathe out. Now you focus on the center of your palm. You bring your hands down. Now you focus on the bottom of your feet. One, two, and then you're back to your standing meditation. And what I said, you stand at the pine tree. So first thing you do, you grow some roots. Then you make your body flexible. That's how you. That's how a pine tree will survive, right? And 1 minute. I know at least one of you practice a martial art called Jam Jong. Jam means stand, and Jong is, when you go to Venice, the entire city is built on beams. So Jong is that beam. So basically, they pretend they visualize themselves standing like that beam, and they lift up their arm like this, loosening up the shoulder, and they stand like this. That's a practice, okay? But here we're not so intense, and we just stand and meditate on a breath. That's all, okay? But it's very similar. All right, we continue to the left. Get ready. Breathe in. Focus on the center of your palm. Stay focused. Unit task, unit task. Breathe out. What happens in the past, there's nothing more you can do. Let it go. What happens in the future, no point in thinking about it now. You're going to get more data as you get close. And breathe out. Just focus on the present. Breathe in. And you stay focused on the present by anchoring. And right now, you just anchor it on your body, anchor on the center of your palm. Wherever the palm goes, your eye goes. And wherever your eye goes, your mind goes. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Lower your hand. Back to the standing. 1 minute on your breath. One breath at a time. Okay, so meditation ultimately is about dealing with your internal turmoil, your fear, your anxiety, your anger, all the negative emotion, right? And basically, you just deal with it by focusing on something else, right? If it comes, you deal with it, and then understanding that it goes away, and there's no point in following it. So you keep focusing on the present. And the next exercise, they build on top of each other. The next exercise, you do that by understanding anxiety and fear, because as you lift up your body, it creates fear. So what do? You focus, you use your eye, you're looking at the screen as if you're making eye contact with yourself, okay? And stay focused. Get ready. Bring up the hands. Bring it back down. Lower your knee. Keep focusing. Looking yourself at that. And then bring it back up. Lift up the heel until the back of the hand is touching each other. And then as you come down, you breathe in straight down. And then you come up, you breathe out. Lift up your heel. And then breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, one more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bring down your hands. Lower your heel. Back to the standing. Another minute of meditation. Standing meditation. Focusing on your breath. One breath at a time. Okay. Now to the next one is called push hand. It looks a lot like Tai Chi, right? But actually no, because you're focusing on your body and not with your opponent. And so we stand again with the right foot forward, but this time we don't need to lean back. We just stand straight ahead. We focus on the hand as if there's a water wheel in front of you, and you bring it all the way to the top, and you lower your bodies as if you're sitting, and then you see the center of the water wheel and you push. As you bring up your hand, you breathe in all the way in, and then you breathe out as if you're pushing the air out. In, breathe in, open your shoulder, and then breathe out as if you're pushing from your back, the lower back, your kidney. Breathe in, breathe out. Very gently, breathe in, and then breathe out. Follow the hand, breathe in, and then breathe out. Okay, now let go of the judging. Don't use your big brain, and just don't judge yourself. No expectation. Feel your body. Focus on the sensation. Just focus on the sensation. Feel the body. Feel the joints. You're actually exercising all 6 joints right now. The wrist, the heel, the elbow, the knee, the shoulder, and the hip. All 6, right? That's why we're doing all 6 joint exercise. One last time. And then breathe out. And then back to the standing 1 minute. Okay, we continue to the left. Get ready. Breathe in. Open your shoulder. And then breathe out as if you're pushing it from your lower back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Very slow. And Martha says that she actually slows down to half of my speed, which is fine. So every 2 I do, she only does 1, which is great. Key is not the speed. The key is just maintain focus. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. A long time ago, I explained that when my master taught us this, he uses 4 Chinese words, and we translate it one time, and they all start with S. And so I believe there was like this sponge. You're actually like absorbing, very spongy. Second one is also a S, like very soft, very slow, and I think the last one is very supple, right? Supple, something like that. Right? So that's the best I can do to translate. 1 minute. This is the last 1 minute standing meditation, okay? Okay, now the next exercise, if you haven't done this before, you might either want to skip it or at least do it with some safety, like putting a chair next to you. Because most people, as they age, they lose the ability to adjust to the change of center of gravity, and they get lightheadedness. And again, that's tied to the kidney energy deficiency. Particularly, it's called the adrenal gland disorder. Okay, your nerve system is not reacting fast enough to adjust. All right, breathe in. And then breathe out. As you lower your body, you open your knee, you go all the way down, and then you push your back forward. And then you breathe in again, and you lean back, and you relax. Okay, try not to stop in the middle. Second time, breathe out, breathe in, and then relax. Okay, one last time, breathe out, and then breathe in, and then relax. Okay, this is not an easy exercise to do. And there's a very famous doctor. He says that I just ask my patient to sit, and then I just ask them to stand up. And if they have lightheadedness, then I know that they're aging faster than normal. What they should be, not normal, but what they should be. And most of my Cantonese speakings, well, not most, but a few of my Cantonese speakings is in the 90s. My mom is 89. They don't have any problem doing this. All right, so now we're going to meditate, and we're going to come back to where we were before. Very quickly, adjust our posture, stretch your spine, lift up our shoulder, lean back, relax, check our forehead, check our eyelid, check the tongue, the tip of the tongue, back to the breath, and start to feel your body as you breathe in. And after the breathing exercise is more pronounced, right? So you should be able to feel. If not, then keep practicing. And you should be able to feel how when you breathe in, your stomach opens. When you breathe out, your stomach collapses. But if you cannot, so give it a push. And when you breathe in, move the belly button forward. And when you breathe out, move the belly button back. Okay? After you're sufficiently confident with that, then you do the second part, which is starting at the lower back. Lift up the spine as you breathe in until you get to the very top. And then when you come back, when you come down, you lean back and relax. You breathe in, stretch, and then you breathe out. Let's do that for 3 minutes, and then we're going to do what I call the metta meditation. Metta means loving kindness. It basically starts with gratitude and acceptance. Okay? All right. So 3 minutes of this, catching up to what we were doing before. And the only thing that I ask is that as you go up, you imagine there's a cloud in you, something very light, and it just rises on your spine until you get to the very top of your head. You don't stop. Let that let that cloud go as far up as you can. And then you look back at this body as if you're trying to maintain a distance between you and your body. And then when you come down to the belly button. You breathe in, you stretch as if there's some energy flowing up, and then you come back and you relax, right? It's kind of good to envision this as cloud. So when you go up, you envision the cloud being a white cloud. A white cloud is very light, it rises. And when it comes down, you envision it as being a black cloud. A black cloud is when it's full of moisture, it actually heavy and it comes down and eventually become rain. Okay, so just relax when you breathe in, and then just let it settle when you breathe out. When you breathe in, You ask yourself, what exactly is happening as I breathe in? I take in oxygen. The oxygen is my life. And ultimately, the oxygen is what you use to create mineral, which is the building block for both your red blood cell and a white blood cell. So all that manufacturing is going on in your spine. And as you go up, you feel the life in you. The life comes from oxygen. The oxygen comes from the forest. And then you say, oh, I get it. I keep calling myself a human being. I forgot that I am actually a being first. And there's a whole bunch of beings out there protecting the forest, sharing my habitat. And it's the forest that generates the oxygen. I'm very grateful for that as I rise on my spine. And then I realize that as I lean back, as far back as I can, I am afraid of falling over. So all that is called anxiety. It's fear. It's the building block for all the negative emotions. Let me learn to deal with that. I'm going to feel that fear. I'm going to accept that fear. And then I'm going to let go of the fear by imagining that black cloud sinking. And that black cloud is like the mud in my lotus pond. I'm just going to let it settle into the bottom of my lotus pond and not disturb it. So as I breathe in, I'm going to practice my gratitude, grateful for all the other beings that are supporting my life form. And as I breathe out, I'm going to practice acceptance, accepting myself as who I am, accepting others as who they are, and let that fear and anxiety and anger and all the negative emotions that I'm capable of, and I'm going to learn to settle it down as if I'm settling it into the bottom of my pond. And instead, I don't follow that into the bottom of my pond, and I just focus on the top of my pond, staying nice and calm. Breathe in. I'm going to practice my gratitude. Breathe out. I'm going to practice my acceptance. Accepting myself as who I am, accepting others as who they are. Let's just spend 3 minutes doing that, okay? And then we'll end the class. Okay, so gratitude and acceptance are the most important building blocks. With gratitude, you can then practice generosity. You can share, not just money, not just time, but you can share your experience, and that is important. And with acceptance, you can practice compassion and loving kindness. So next time when you see a person on the street asking for money, you can think one or two ways. You can say, why should I give him money? He's going to turn it into drugs anyway, which is what I do. It's hard for me to give them money. But at least I smile. I don't, I just, I nod my head and I smile, right? Because everyone has his own story. You don't know their story. You can see a young girl on the street. Most likely they have shelters. The city provides shelters. So they're not in particularly any kind of immediate danger. But they could be someone running away from home because of violence, or maybe they had a stepfather who's a sexual predator. You don't know. You don't know. Don't judge, right? Do what you can. And all that is based on your sense of gratitude and your sense of acceptance. You can sit with them and hear the story. That is true. Time is worth more than money. They feel your compassion, they feel your kindness. My daughter has been dating a young person who was from Vietnam. He actually came when he was a year old. His mother actually carried him, and his young uncle, his mom's younger brother. They were actually the first batch that were able to escape Vietnam on a helicopter. They came to the United States. They were arranged to live with sponsors, and they actually end up in Minnesota, which is very cold. It's cold for me. It's just incredibly cold for someone from Vietnam. And he grew up being the only Asian face in his neighborhood. And he had a hard time really figuring out who he is. Now he's a writer, so he works in Hollywood. So everything I said to you, he already written about it. And what turned his life around was one day. Well, this is after he left his family and he drove all the way to Los Angeles to make a name for himself. So he was living in Los Angeles already, and one day he was passing by the downtown area where there were a lot of homeless, and there was a guy on a wheelchair with a sign that says, "Anything helps." I was I fought in Vietnam or something like that. Mike went up to the guy and he says, "I just want to say thank you. If you didn't fight for our freedom, I wouldn't be here." This is a homeless person on a wheelchair. We see them every day, and we see signs like that every day. We say, that's not right. That's not true. Can't be. This is how they want my money. Well, no, Mike just went up and he says, "Thank you." And the guy looked at him and he says, "No one has ever said that to me." Mike hugged him and then walked away. I'm sure that hug changed both of their life. Just give them a smile, talk to them, and the building blocks are gratitude and acceptance. Okay? All right, enough. I'll see you guys all next week. And I think you read the comments. I'm not going to repeat it. And I will read it again at the end of class. Maybe I read this one long one. And instead of giving them money, oh, hang on, try asking them what it is that they need. Do they need food, maybe a blanket or water, maybe a hat to shade the sun? just someone to listen and validate their experience. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. 歡迎陳老師歸隊，我哋星期一見。
多謝 Dennis。
OK，多謝大家。OK，多謝大家支持。OK，拜拜，拜拜。OK，拜拜。
你爹哋師兄啊，呢個係你嘅爹哋師兄啊。
OK，拜拜。
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.